Oh, okay. It's really just a time to learn. I mean, this is a lot like, what was that one podcast where I was basically like storytelling the whole time? Oh, right, the speculation for Legends Arceus and the like. Like when they finally did the reveal for that game, we did another podcast, and I remember talking for the majority of that.
Hey, that one was fun. That one was
Yeah,
like
I enjoyed that.
that was the one where we predicted a lot of things. Like, can you imagine a Voltorb made out of wood? Yeah,
Because it had to come from somewhere.
exactly. That's why I was like, oh shoot.
Like a grass and electric Voltorb, but it wouldn't be anything like Rotom lawnmower.
Oh yeah,
See, I would have been interested in that.
grassy electric. What if it was no? Ooh, no, you can't. That would be bogus. Would it? No, it had weaknesses.
I mean, it's quad weak to ice, which is pretty bad.
Electric is weak to ice.
Oh no, you said electric and ground, not
Electric ground,
gra
yeah.
elect ground. It would be weak to ice. It would also be weak to water.
Ooh.
Hell,
That's,
it's still weak to grass.
no, no. Let's go back to Rotom.
Let's go back to Rotom.
I like that one
Damn.
better. I'm sorry. I we changed the typing and I already hate it.
But it's like it does at least run a check against water types, because yeah, you're super effective, but it's also super effective against you. And because this is Voltorb, it would be one of the faster Pokemon in the meta. Because Voltorb is real. Voltorb. Electrode is really, really fast. And
Wait, what?
a lot of people don't recognize that.
Like faster than Rotom?
Ah, damn. I think okay, in Gen 1, I think Electrode was the fastest electric type Pokemon. Hold on, Electrode. Your speed stat is oh snap, it's 150. Dang, 150 base. That means 222 at maximum.
And that's Gen 1.
And that's a Gen 1 Mon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he gets like a variety of moves for like offense and defense. He gets Mirror Coat, which is really good. And I don't think he can learn it anymore, but it used to be an electric type Pokemon that could learn Surf.
Oh, just like Pikachu.
Yeah, except you didn't have to do anything special to get Electro to learn Surf. You could just use the HM for it. Ooh, Sucker Punch. Shattered Psyche. Wait, what's your psychic move? Oh, well, I guess Mirror Coat. That works. Signal Beam that doesn't even exist anymore. I don't know. Under the effects, under Gen 8 rules,
Yeah.
I could see Electro being really good.
Or the electrical. I mean, an electric
Oh
type that
man,
can learn.
this guy under like electric terrain, no, that's disgusting.
Dude, okay, hold on, hear me out. Uh, electric type that knows earthquake.
So a physical electric user that gets Earthquake.
Or even earth power.
Oh my god. Dude,
Do you?
I would kill for an electric type that gets Earth Power. You don't even understand. Earth Power is like one of my favorite ground type moves.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that, bro.
Let's see, who does get it? Water Rock, Steel Dragon. Steel Dragon? What? Yeah, not a single. Wow, really? There's not a single electric type that gets this move.
Isn't that something?
There's a grass and ice type that gets this move. Oh wait, dragon electric. That's a legendary.
The
That,
Poliwrath learns Earth Power.
Dracozolt, but Dracozolt's a physical attacker. That doesn't.
Well, water and fighting. I'm talking about the Poliwrath right there.
Oh, Poliwrath. Yeah, even though he's also physical.
Thank you. Why would you?
All right, EQ. Because I think Electros gets Earthquake, but Electros isn't in Gen 8, which is kind of a problem.
Marowak.
Your boy. Although he's not an electric type.
No, I'm just saying, like, this is unusual typing that gets it, like Fire Ghost.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's only because like base Marowak can learn it, and they didn't want to take that away.
Let's see. Yeah, no.
Okay. Dracozolt. Dracozolt gets Earthquake, and he's a physical electric type. But that's like the only one. Yeah, your boy.
I'm looking too, like, I can't.
Oh, Electivire! Oh man, your boy Electivire. Yeah, he was the one. What? Yeah, he was the one. He was the one. Yeah, Have you used Electivire yet? Probably not.
Because of the Intimidate.
Hmm?
Because of Intimidates. Isn't he a
special attacker? Yeah, because he's a physical attacker and he get bodied by Intimidate.
Oh yeah. Like, I would like to use him, but if you're a physical attacker, there's so many other better choices.
Like you really don't have a place.
I mean, it's not like he's bulky enough to survive either. Like, I mean, he's.
No, he's not. I mean, you could give him an assault vest and he'd be fine, but physical defense, no, he dies.
Yeah, that's all.
He gets pasted.
He said he gets pasted.
Good speed though, and like with motor drive in play, you could just spam discharge on his partner, and he becomes the fastest thing on the field after like 2 turns.
Oh no, man. Oh no, defenses are.
They're bad. Doo-doo. That physical defense is doo-doo butt cheeks. I do agree.
Yeah, one earthquake. Oof.
Oh man, forget about it. Mud slap. Oh, I'm dead. Man, but Electivire used to be like a premium attacker back in Gen 4 when it was introduced. Like, this thing was on every team.
Ooh, on every team.
This thing was on my team.
That's how good it was.
Give him a choice band, and you rock Thunder Punch, Cross Chop, and then 2 freebies. I used to take Ice Punch to for coverage against ground types. Everyone else took Rock Slide because flinches. Me, I don't like missing, so I took. Man, what did I take? Did I take Earthquake? I might have. Yeah, I think I took Earthquake because Earthquake was like too good to not use.
Of course, back in the day. I mean, it's still good, but you got
you're in double. You're in doubles now, so you got to be careful when you use it.
Yeah, but not just that. You have what's his name? Tapu Boom Boom, Rillaboom.
Yeah, with that Grassy Surge, your ground type moves are weaker. Oh.
Yeah, and he's a common Pokemon, so it's like, gotta be careful. Oh, him and Landorus.
Trainers beware.
Earthquake. Oh, he switched out. Oh, he's flying type. Well, that was fun.
Well, I've done all I can do.
Yeah, especially if you have Double Genie out there. Well, so much for that Earthquake, huh?
Man, Tornadus and Landorus, that's ugly.
And that's definitely ugly. But you know what? I've been using Eternatus for this series, and it's quite good.
You found a use for Eternatus.
Because there's no Dynamax. Remember the new format? There's no Dynamax.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, basically what you want to do. You know, Rillaboom's a popular character, right? So obviously you bring him along.
Obviously.
So I'm thinking either him or Indeedee, right? You put up the terrain. Then you also have somebody with Steel Roller, like maybe Marpeco.
Oh snap! Morpeko does get Steel Roller.
Yeah. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. You either give it a focus ash, not a focus, maybe a focus ash, but like maybe like a choice card
Choice Band.
or choice
Or Choice
band
Scar for speed.
for
For
speed,
speed's
right?
sake.
And then you do what's that poison move that is Party Wife?
Sludge Wave? Yeah, Sludge Wave.
All it hits 3, right? It hits everyone.
It hits everybody.
Marpeco's a steal.
No, Morpeko is Dark Electric. Unless we're
No,
talking
he's
about
not.
a different boat.
Marpeco? Is it Marpeco? The fat ball?
Oh, you mean Togedemaru?
Togedemaru, yes. Togedemaru, yes.
Oh, that's filthy.
That's right. Oh,
That's
bro.
filthy. No. Oh, that's grime.
Yes. That's very
Oh,
good. Yes.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's dumb because oh my god, man. Oh.
Because people be sleeping on Togedemaru, and they've been doing that since the thing was introduced in Gen 7. Like, they just see it and think it's another, like, stupid Pikachu knockoff. But no, this thing's dumb.
Yeah, and it has what's that lightning rod, right? Lightning
It has
rod?
it does have lightning rod.
Yeah, so you bring the lightning rod in case in case you feel like somebody's gonna T-wave you or like that other one? Or electric attacks, right? I'm assuming that works.
Rising voltage.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait. Whoop! Comes out. Absorbs the hit. Yep. Hey man, people do not see that coming. They normally like turn 1. Marpeco, they probably double protect if they have, you know, Incineroar and Rillaboom out on the field, because you know Fake Out's coming. Right, you know it is. So you brought out Rillaboom. No, thank you for setting the terrain for me. Turn 2, Sludge Wave, Steel Roller. Alright, who's taking all this damage?
Who wants to get hit?
Yep. It's insane.
Hell, Togedemaru even gets Fake Out as an egg move. That's pretty nice.
Actually, I didn't know that.
So we got, like, the good ones are Wish, Fake Out, and Tickle.
No. So far, I have Protect, Nuzzle,
The classic. Steel Roller, obviously.
and what's that? Helping Hand.
Yeah, he does get Helping Hand.
He gets Helping Hand, yes. And you don't need Prankster for Helping Hand.
Nope, Helping Hand is just +3.
Yeah, it's bro. Oh man, I don't know why nobody's picking up on this.
If I might make a suggestion,
Yes.
Instead of Protect, consider Spiky Shield.
Spiky Shield, is that Protect also? Kind of like Bunker?
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to protecting you from attacks, it also damages anyone that makes direct contact.
Eesh. Ugh, what a
Like
double benefit.
Like, it would be really nasty if you took Iron Barbs as the ability instead of Lightning Rod. I don't know if those stack or not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Spiky Shield stacks with Iron Barbs, but if it does, that's 1/8 hitting you twice. That's not fun.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
As someone who has had to go through the trenches of Ferrothorn plus Rocky Helmet, I can tell you that it's not fun.
I know. Now, good old vitamin D, man. Keep your hands to yourself.
Don't put your hands on me.
Basically. Okay. I'll think about it. I'll get another. I'll bring another Togedemaru. Because I need you know, obviously you have to have it perfect. Except maybe special attack. I guess I don't really.
Nah, special attack, you don't give a damn. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, but no, the Steel Roller, dude. I don't care.
Yeah, that's a good strat.
Yeah, I don't care who you have out there with terrain. Gone. Gone. Very dumb. And with Eternatus, you just gotta make sure you don't die.
So is it just going to be the two of us in the podcast, or are we just going to talk about 14 without
We're
doing the
just talking about
podcast?
14. Well, actually, no. Podcast's already been on.
Oh,
People are just laughing at the strat. So now prepare to see it on VGC, man. Prepare to see it. But yes, thank you guys for joining. We got 3 people, four. We got 3, four. So yeah, we were just look, man. We get carried away when it comes with Pokemon. It's just our thing. But we're gonna get started with the Final Fantasy 14 for everybody that is interested. Because this is a technical record podcast, that's
we
exactly
do
how we're
need
gonna
to.
start it off with. Oh yeah.
We do need to do a thing.
Oh yeah. So yeah, which one is it for this week? I think it's
So it's low kick this week.
oh snap. Alright.
All right, so a little late, but greetings and welcome one and all to the Technical Record Podcast, improving your battling skills one move at a time. I am one of your hosts, Tehran 145.
RGB 945.
And today we'll be talking about technical record 07, low kick. Oh man, this this is the move. I love this one. So description wise, low kick is a move that has no predefined base power, 100 base accuracy. Basically, its base power is determined based on the weight of the target. So let's see, what were the thresholds? Okay, I remember the damage thresholds for base power, but not like the weight. It starts at 20, goes to 40, 60, 80, 100, and it caps at 120. And the weight thresholds that you're going to care about are if your the base power is 20, if you're targeting something that's under like 22 pounds. If you're from the UK, where the Pokemon's weight are like distributed in the metric system, that would be 10 kilograms. Yeah. If you want 120 base power, because I know you want 120 base power, that's when you target something that has a weight of 440 pounds or higher. For kilograms, that's 200. If anyone out there in the audience actually like has the metric system memorized, please feel free to call me out on my stupidity if I'm wrong.
What was the last one?
Oh, the last one. 120 base power. You have to hit the target if it has 440 pounds or 200 kilograms.
Anyone? Anyone? Oh, 200 kilograms.
Oh, sweet.
There we go. Math. Conversions, I mean.
Like, I'm really happy that they made this a technical record because I think low kick used to be primarily a move tutor move. And a lot of Pokemon have access to it now, specifically because it's a technical record. So you got a whole bunch of fighting types. Like you got Machamp doing this. Machamp is coming at you with a low kick, and let's assume he is getting the 120 base power. He's also getting stab, so it's 180.
Oh, that's right. The stab.
And Machamp has guts, so if Flame or proc, that's 130 base attack going at you with a move that is basically 180 base power. I don't care if you are a Snorlax, you're probably gone. Also, that's super effective because you're a Snorlax. That's gonna hurt
And
a lot.
so you still take an effect your uh, your attack stat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Pheromosa learns it.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
You know
Oh
Pheromosa.
no! I forgot Pheromosa got this move, dude. Okay, man, you were not there for Gen 7, but if you
No.
saw a Pheromosa, it had low kick. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. Pheromosa had low kick, and if it didn't have low kick, you were in like VGC 2016 doing like a god tier play. But
Oh
no,
look,
Pheromosa. No, this
so-
thing hurt.
somebody in the audience said a Mian Shao.
Yeah, me and Xiao.
Mian
Me and
Shao.
Xiao as well. Like Mian Xiao is an underrated Gen 5 Pokemon in my opinion. Like it has an excellent design and its stat spread is not that bad. Also, it
Mm.
has also it gets Regenerator as like I think it's its hidden ability. Wait, hold on. I need to clarify that real quick. Is
No
it the hidden
way.
ability?
Hold on, hold
Is
on.
it
Hey, props to whoever said it. Dracovish learns this move.
Draco Zolt does as well.
What? Why? You.
Why not?
Oh my god, bro. No, you're not even a fighting type. What are you gonna kick with? Have you seen your feet?
Dude, how are you kicking?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's an excellent. That's a very good question.
Oh my god, this man. Dude, you know how? Oh, I'm trying to picture Dracovish trying to approach his opponent to low kick. Yo,
Meh.
he's gonna fall. He's gonna do more damage to himself falling than he is to the opponent. Oh,
And no, I was wrong. I checked. Mian Xiao can get Regenerator as a regular base ability.
oh, look at that, no hidden.
So you would go for like low kick, and if the opponent is like, "Oh, that looks dangerous," you turn, Zoop. And when you bring him back, oh yeah, man, I'm healed. Excuse you. And
Yeah.
Mian Xiao was really good about this because it had 105 base speed. Like
Right.
that's a speed tier that you probably don't think is all that good in Gen 8 because of like the speed creep. But
Mhm.
back then, 105 was actually pretty nice.
Yeah. Also has inner focus and it learns fake out.
Yes, it does.
That's that's uh that's a spicy. Yeah, that's spicy right there, man.
A spicy enchilada. Oh man,
Oh.
I really like me and Shao. That is a dope fighting type. If Maestro were here, he'd be able to tell us more about like the merits and value of me and Shao. But unfortunately, he is on a road trip.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, hey, you know what? We'll bring this up next on the next one. Okay. Any other special thoughts?
On low kick?
Low kick.
Just a really good move. There is one other notable user. Unfortunately, you can't use this in Gen 8 because Mega Evolutions aren't around, but I really liked using this move on Mega Lot Bunny whenever I wasn't running Drain Punch. But that's about it. Because Mega Lot Bunny got Scrappy as its ability. So I'm hitting ghost types with this. Let's go.
What?
Waya!
I know how much you like your score button or your low putty.
Waya!
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay. All right. So that was low kick. Thank you, Tehran. Technical. Well, the TR in the beginning of the podcast. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with Final Fantasy 14, and this is a topic that on 145 is a specialist at. He's gonna be modest and he's gonna say no, but yes, he is. Anyways, so Final Fantasy 14. Let's break down the game in its simplest form. What is Final Fantasy 14, and why do we want to play it?
So Final Fantasy 14 is an MMORPG, massive multiplayer online role-playing game. Its claim to fame mostly stems from its notoriety, where Final Fantasy 14 exists in two forms. You have the current iteration, which goes from A Realm Reborn all the way to Shadowbringers, and Walker's not out yet as of the time of this as of the time of this podcast. And you have its original iteration 1.0, which is one of the biggest disasters in the history of Square Enix since they made that film Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. Now, on a bad day, I might be willing to say Final Fantasy 14 1.0 was actually worse than The Spirits Within, but I don't want to start some forest fires in here. Not today. Not today. But 14 1.0 was such an unmitigated disaster that they had to basically terminate the game before it even really got off the ground. So to explain why 14 was kind of a problem, for people who like ran PCs, like gaming, professional gaming PCs way back in the day, like the dark ages, one of the memes that circulated the community was, but can it run Crisis? Or but can it run EVE Online? Uh if your computer could run EVE Online or Crisis, that did not matter. Final Fantasy XIV was rendering individual blades of grass and drops of water during rain. I don't care how strong your computer is, it can't run Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. And this, oh my goodness. I don't know if anyone in the chat, in the audience, has actually played or seen cutscenes from 1.0, but I will never forget the fight with, like, the cutscene leading up to the encounter with Leviathan. You're on this boat out in the middle of the ocean near Limsa Lominsa, one of the city-states in the game, right? Leviathan, this blue gigantic sea serpent, just starts attacking your vessel. And because he's splashing water all over the place and he's basically conjuring up a storm, it's an intense thundering rain shower. Individual droplets of water. I can't stress this enough. Your computer is screaming. If your computer didn't explode, congratulations, you can definitely run Crisis. So after 1.0's like very terrible run, basically the entire design team was taken off the project, and it was placed into the hands of a man named Naoki Yoshida. For people in the Final Fantasy XIV community, we know him as Yoshi P, the god, the savior, the man who can do no wrong. He took 1.0 and basically turned it around from Square Enix's worst failure to what is easily the best Final Fantasy game ever released. To the point where the shutdown for Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, right? It was actually converted into this whole gigantic in-game event where for I think it was like the last 10, not, it wasn't just the last 10 minutes, that's just what everyone recorded, but it was like the last day on Eorzea, and the entire world was basically facing the apocalypse. They turned this apocalypse into a worldwide event before the game's original server shut down. And then when A Realm Reborn dropped, they converted what was that event and condensed it into one cutscene. And it's like, oh my goodness. If you haven't seen the end of an era, which is what the cutscene is called, you need to go watch it. Like after this stream is over, or even if you want to pull up a random like YouTube tab and play it now, this was incredible back in 2013 when the game dropped. And we have since then made it to 2021, and now we're going into Endwalker, where the thing with it is, up until this point, Final Fantasy XIV 2.0 has basically been Naoki Yoshida and his team playing cleanup for the 1.0 crew. They've been building upon the original story that was that had barely had a foundation laid for it in 1.0, and done a lot of callbacks and resolutions specifically within Shadowbringers. And Endwalker is going to finish up the rest of all of that. And going forward, I have no idea where the story could go. It could basically go anywhere because it's now free from the shackles of 1.0. They can basically make whatever they want 14 to be. This might also tie into Final Fantasy 16, but that's not the discussion, the topic of discussion for this day.
Okay.
You got any like specific questions so that I'm not rambling like a fanboy?
No, man, this is very good stuff. This is good stuff. Hold on.
Actually,
Go ahead.
Can I get a link to the stream so I can like see the chat myself?
No. Yeah, dude, it's just by thingy. Hold on. Save. And let me pop it in here. Wait. If you click on it, will it take you there?
Click this. Live streaming isn't available right now.
Hold on. Maybe I
Okay.
gave you the wrong one.
Did they just take me to my own stream? That's
Yeah,
fun. That's funny.
that's what I was like. Hold on. Here you go. Try that one.
Okay. Oh, this thumbnail. Oh, this thumbnail.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, you pulled it up. Let's go. Okay, okay. No,
He
I
said,
need to
"Let's go."
focus.
Yeah, focus, Tara. Focus. 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 This
But
man.
anyway, like inquiries, I suppose, because here today at work you had a lot of like basic questions about like how the job system works and the like.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, all right. If I wanted to start a character, right? You've seen kind of like my game style. Um, I don't like squishies are okay. I'm more of like a tank that does damage. So somebody that can sustain, but can take a hit. Uh,
So you definitely want to be a tank.
so tank, yeah. I'm not a big fan of mages. Like mages are okay, you can say, but it's a mage. Who cares about mages? No offense to any mages out there, but um,
You disgracing black mage in here? We gotta fight.
no, it's just that your role is important, right? Because without you, there is no team. But I don't think I can. I don't think I can depend on others to do the work for me, in a sense. Like, like mages to me remind me of like support in League of Legends. Like, if you have a really good support, yeah, I'm adding you on my list because I'm playing with you again. Um, but then if you have
Yeah.
that bad
Okay.
support, hmm?
So you're definitely gonna give like all of your commendations to the healers. I can already tell.
Yes, it's because it's the truth, bro. I'm telling you, like support either makes or breaks the game sometimes.
It
And
does.
and
That is
kudos,
true.
yeah, kudos to you guys that like that job. I hate that role, and I don't want that responsibility. I want to be strategizing how am I gonna live and how am I gonna do damage, and I have somebody in the back who is gonna keep me from dying. That's more or
Right.
less me.
Okay, so I guess I should I'm not going to dive into like the deep history of how the roles have changed
Okay.
because they have changed. But the current oh my goodness, the word I'm looking for here. The current climate and culture of Final Fantasy 14. When it comes to like participating in dungeons and raids, healers do not exclusively heal. That is not how that works. And tanks do not exclusively just sit there and be damage sponges. Everyone is expected to pull their weight in the DPS field. Just because your icon is green doesn't mean you have an excuse to not pop a damage spell every now and again. And just because your icon is blue doesn't mean tanking is the only job you have. You have just as much of a reason to do damage as everybody else. The red guys, they do the most of it, but they're not the only ones like whacking the boss with like pointy sticks.
Ooh, okay. Let them have
And this
it.
and to like better explain this cuz you did say you wanted to do damage with sustain and also be able to take a hit. Uh so there are four I did mention this at work, but I'm going to explain this again for the people in the audience.
Yep.
There are four tanks in the game currently. You have Paladin, the classic. You have the Warrior, the Dark Knight, and Gunbreaker. Now, there is a meta for Final Fantasy 14, and it changes like every raid tier. Like not even every expansion, it literally changes every raid tier because each raid boss asks different demands of the players. Like you got one class, Bard, which is man, they did Bard dirty in Shadowbringers. But Bard's like really good for arguably the hardest raid in the game, which is the Epic of Alexander.
Okay.
And I'll explain a little bit about raids like Savage, Ultimate, and all that a little later. But just know, even the quote unquote worst class in the game is considered the meta pick for the hardest content. It does not matter what you play as, you have value.
Ooh.
Now, as a tank, as far as the tanks go, they okay. Look, I think every tank is great. I do think they've done some tanks real dirty, is in like especially as of Shadowbringers, but they're all in good spots. Paladin, oh man, I love Paladin. Like Paladin is I love the fantasy of it, like, wearing shiny armor, you got this big old shield, you got a sword, you jump in the way, you protect people. If the big old dragon wants to end the world, he has to go through you first. Like you are the guy who wakes up in the morning, steps out the door, you see Lucifer just standing there ready to squat up, and you just like, and is that all? And that is incredible to me. I love that. Like Paladin's been one of my favorite classes in like RPG history in general. And I think it's in a good spot here in Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
Of the four tanks, the Paladin has in my opinion, the greatest level of versatility. They have a lot of cooldowns and a lot of mitigation tools. I mean, one of their invulns is a bit of a meme because like in boss fights, like in the hard raids, there's this move called hollowed ground, and it's supposed to make you straight up impervious for what is it, 10 seconds? Let me see if I can actually find it real quick. Wait, where's hollowed ground? There it is. Renders you impervious to most attacks, and it is for 10 seconds. I was right. Man, that cooldown is disgusting. 420 seconds. You basically only get to use that once per fight. But the here's the problem with that. It says most attacks, not all attacks. In certain raids, bosses have moves that will just ignore hollowed ground. You get hit. And because hollowed ground only renders you impervious, it doesn't also add like damage reduction on top of all that. If you were gonna die from Bahamut doing like Exaflare or something, and hollowed ground doesn't stop that, I'm sorry, you just died, and you pop the cooldown for no reason,
Oh shit. Nice.
and you have to wait 420 seconds before you get it back.
Okay.
Let's see who's up next. Warrior. Oh my goodness. Warrior is a tried and true fan favorite. It's Unga Bunga the class. This thing just spits out damage and heals itself. It's also a tank, I guess. Basically, you play warrior if you want to like click a button and just watch things get shredded. You could literally. I don't want to compare it to like Draven from League of Legends or anything, but if you pick warrior, just play the theme to Doom Eternal and just do your rotation. I assure you, the endorphins will skyrocket. Next up is Dark Knight, the Edgelord tank. This is the one that everyone believes the development team kind of did dirty for Shadowbringers, which is really ironic considering Shadowbringers is Dark Knight is the poster boy job class for this expansion. Basically, the Warrior of Light, so the main character, he he picks a class for each expansion to represent.
Mm-hmm.
Although in Stormblood he was two of them, he was monk and then samurai. For Shadowbringers, he represents Dark Knight.
Okay.
Normally the job class that gets the spotlight as the poster boy for the expansion is arguably one of the most overtuned in the game during that time frame. Dark Knight is not that. Like Dark Knight is considered the worst of the tanks at the moment. And I say worst in like very loose air quotes because again, they're all good. I really like the Dark Knight aesthetic though. If you are a fan of like Guts from Berserk, this is your job class. Like even your like skill names are edgy. You've got Soul Eater, Flood of Darkness, Blood Weapon. Edge of darkness, living dead, salted earth, abyssal drain, blood spiller, the blackest night. Yo, the blackest night. This move. You're literally gonna be spamming this move, but I don't care. This move is amazing. This move is great just because of the name alone. Also, Dark Knight has one of the best job class like storylines in the game, and it helps because the person who wrote it during the events of Heavensward would also go on to write the story, the main scenario for Shadowbringers. She is incredible, and I hope she gets more work in the future because she absolutely deserves it. Last up on the tank list is Gunbreaker. I was telling this one to you, RGB 45, well 945, specifically because you wanted to do damage. Gunbreaker is a DPS class, but with a blue icon. No joke, its rotation plays more like a DPS class than it does a tank. You wield a gunblade, so you're probably familiar with Squall from Final Fantasy VIII since you haven't played the more recent Final Fantasy games.
Yep.
The gunblades that you get in 14 are more in line with Squall's gunblade style, as opposed to Lightning's from Final Fantasy 13, where her gunblade is basically just a switchblade. It has a sword form, but with a little bit of dexterity, she flips it over to turn it into a gun for like actual long range combat. Squall's is a sword duct taped to a pistol grip. That is what we roll with in Final Fantasy 14.
It's starting to remind me of Frank West. Okay.
And I wasn't a fan of Squall's gunblade type, and I think that's just because it was oversized for me, but they make it work in 14. Like these don't look bad. Most of them don't look bad. See, that's all of the tanks. I suppose this is also a really important distinction to make for other people because I think it's more commonplace today than it was back in the days of World of Warcraft, but in Final Fantasy 14, how can healers do damage? Don't they have one job? You would think that clock worked, but healers actually have a plethora of offensive spells that they are expected to use. Basically, the idea is once you start playing the game, you'll realize that being at 100% HP all the time is not at all necessary. In fact, it's extreme overkill. Basically, if everyone's topped off, you don't need to do any additional healing. In fact, the game penalizes you for doing this.
Excess
There's a
healing.
good
What?
what?
For you get penalized for excess healing?
Yes. So there's a system known as aggro, right? Obviously, the tank is the one who holds the most aggro because that's what tanks do. However, if the enemy, like healers, also generate aggro because of their healing abilities. Basically, if the enemies recognize that the healer is healing way too much, it doesn't matter how good of a tank you are. They're gonna start ignoring you and they're gonna go after the little dude who's like healing you. Because obviously they can't kill you if this dude is just like spitting out green juice all the time and healing you.
That's okay.
And the same applies to DPS units. It's less so now because of the changes they made during the events of like Stormblood, the third expansion. But well technically no, Stormblood's the second expansion. Anyway, like after Stormblood, they changed how like aggro works. So DPS, even if you're a god at DPS, you're never taking aggro off the tank unless they turn off tank stance or something. Healers, nah. If you overheal too much, if you spam your AoEs like a madman, no, the enemies will come to you. And when you die, the tank dies. And when the tank dies, everybody else dies. So you gotta be smart about it. After you're done healing everyone, like throw a regen on the tank. And since the regen will keep them nice and healthy while the boss is wailing on them, and then you can just spam holy or whatever your offensive spell is. Unless you're like what is it, Arcanist who spams Braille 3. Like that's literally their rotation. They click the same spell like 3 times. I have no idea how healer damage rotations work because I don't play healer. I'm too afraid to play healer. I don't. You can't give me the responsibility of a human life. I work in IT, not as a medic.
So true, so true.
Speaking of the healers, this is actually kind of important for Endwalker. They're changing up how the healers work. So you have two types of healing schools. You have like pure healing, so white mage, just throughout Kiraga, you see like 9,999 green numbers on your buddy, and he gets healed. That's a pure healer. Then you have barrier healers, which would be like Astrologian. These are the guys who like to mitigate the damage that you're gonna take and give you passive healing as a result of it. There isn't like I wouldn't say one is better than the other. And in high rank in like in high raid, like high difficulty raiding content, where you have to bring two healers anyway, I personally recommend that you bring one pure healer and one barrier healer. Like that's just the standard. If you want to go two barrier or like two pure healers, that's perfectly fine as well. Like again, success in Final Fantasy 14 really comes down to like your skill, not your composition. And the same kind of applies to the tanks. They're trying to do something new in Endwalker where you have main tank and you have like off tank. Honestly, I don't know why they're trying to make a distinction with the tanks come Endwalker. I feel like that's really unnecessary, but that's what they're trying to do. Main tanks are supposed to be Dark Knight and Gunbreaker, while Paladin and War. No, I got that wrong. I got that wrong. It's Paladin and Gunbreaker who are the off tanks. Warrior and Dark Knight are the main tanks. I think that's the distinction they wanted to separate them into. Doesn't honestly that doesn't bloody matter. Like Paladin is still good enough to be a main tank. Warrior is still fine as an off tank. Honestly, I would just ignore those distinctions and just play how you're gonna play. There's three healers right now. You have White Mage, absolute classic. They heal good, they revive real good. You've got Scholar, who basically. Wait a minute. Wait, where's Summoner? Oh, Summoner's DPS. Oh, whoops. Hold on, that's a little suspect. Anyway, you've got anyway, you have Scholar, who is a pet, who's basically a pet class. You summon a familiar, and they assist you with healing. This familiar used to be more hands-on, but due to changes made in both Stormblood and Shadowbringers, they are basically a summon and forget about them kind of healer. Basically, you'll summon one named Eos, and she'll just heal people in the party who need healing, while you either do damage or you heal anyone else that Eos is not healing. There's also another summon named Celine. She used to do something different, but they consolidated the two. So now it's just pick your color. Do you want green or do you want orange? Well, yellowish orange. Bio 2, Ruin 2. The next healer on the list, who was it? Astrologian? Yeah, Astrologian. These guys basically use tarot cards to engage in combat, give allies buffs, give allies shields, and of course, to heal their allies. I really like the design of Astrologian. I think they have some of the best looking armor in the game of like all the mage classes. And like the fantasy of just like carrying around this astro globe and just pulling out a card. The fates have determined. Oh, you're getting hit with a meteor today. Fate has decided. Hey, you're in luck, buddy. Whispering Wind. 100,000 HP healed. I'm throwing these numbers completely out of thin air, by the way. You don't actually heal for 100,000. That would be absurd. Like, I think that the highest HP I've seen on a tank with current raid gear is like 130,000. So if you can just casually throw out a 100k heal, you're never dying.
Yeah.
You're never dying.
Hey man, I want to partner up with that person.
Now, oh, and the fourth healer, because a new healer class is being introduced in Endwalker, it's known as the Sage. This one's going to be another barrier healer, I'm fairly certain, because White Mage and Scholar are supposed to be your pure healers. Astrologian is a barrier healer, and because there's only one, they kind of need a second one, which is going to be Sage. Now, Sage is pretty cool in that they fight with these magically controlled laser rifles. But don't worry, they also heal people. They just they just shoot you with lasers too. And then DPS. DPS is divided into 3 different categories. You have melee DPS, physical range DPS, and then magic range DPS. Now, come Endwalker, I think they're actually getting rid of the distinction between magic ranged and physical range, and they're just gonna call it range DPS, because really there's no real difference between the two. There really isn't. Range DPS is typically like support damage. So Bard, for example, provides buffs to the party while singing their songs, while also doing damage. Dancer. Oh boy, Dancer. Dancer's a really good one because they can basically choose a dance partner. This dance partner receives a myriad of different types of buffs, and during the dancer's rotation, they can even do like a healing technique that also heals their dance partner. And because you have a dance partner, that just gives you more damage for some insane reason. So one thing that people really like to do in raids is partner up Dancer with Samurai, because Samurai is currently the highest like DPS unit in the game alongside Black Mage. I think an optimized Black Mage does more damage than Samurai, but Samurai is so easy to play in comparison to Black Mage that you can freestyle with it and basically dunk on everybody else on the DPS charts. Samurai is kind of nutty. Next physical range, Machinist. I still don't know a whole lot about Machinist because I haven't played it. I apologize for everyone in the chat. I am not a god at this game. I'm actually on the jobs that I play. I just happen to follow a lot of people who play roles that I do not. For anyone curious, I play Dragoon, I play Samurai, and I play Black Mage. All DPS. I am considering taking up a tanking role for Endwalker. I'm considering Gunbreaker. And speaking of Black Mage, Black Mage is very unique in terms of how it functions as a DPS because it's a lot like Samurai, where it is not a support damage dealer at all. Black Mage is a very selfish damage dealer. The utility you bring is your absurd damage output. That is all you're bringing to the rest of your party. That's it. And quite frankly, if you're a good Black Mage, that's all your party needs. They don't need you to put buffs on them because you're deleting things with all sorts of destructive magic.
And that's
the only problem
DPS?
is
And that's
DPS.
That's under DPS? Okay.
That's under DPS.
Oh, we have another question.
So why have a... Okay, picking a character is not the same as job role. So why have a character type if you can have a different job? So...
Hey, hold on. Could carry on with your DPS. Was it Luca? I mean, Luca. I'm gonna call you Luca.
Lucasaurus Rex.
Okay, there you go. We'll get to that. He's just finishing up with the characters, and then I guess after you're done with the characters, you can explain how you. I guess you can answer that question.
Yeah, I'll answer that question.
There we go. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it.
So we'll get to that. With Black Mage and the whole selfish DPS thing, your damage output is so high that you have no utility as a result. But the problem with Black Mage is that this job class is really hard to play properly. And what I mean by that is Black Mage is a class that is allergic to movement in a game where every boss fight has a mechanic that requires you to move in some way, shape, or form. Basically, you get better at Black Mage as you get better at running fights. If you know what mechanic is inbound, you can pre-position yourself so that you can just cast your spells and literally not have to do anything. And the better you are, well, the better you become at maximizing your uptime and minimizing your movement time, the better Black Mage you will be considered as. Samurai is much the same in that it has no utility. Its damage is its utility, but it doesn't have the same movement like allergy that Black Mage does. Samurai can just move around on the field freely, doing its damage rotation, and its demand comes from managing a point resource that basically allows them to use some of their off-global cooldown moves. And a lot of these are some of the strongest moves like in the game. You have their signature move, which is Midare Setsugeka. After you build up 3 of a different resource for Samurai, you do a charge move that increases your damage by 50% on the next weapon skill that you use. Pop Midare Setsugeka, you do like 200,000 damage on a direct critical hit. Nobody else is doing 200k on damage except you. You are the only one who does this. And that's basically free damage because you were going to do that move anyway, and it's not even that hard to pull off. Black Mage, meanwhile, pumps out more damage at a rapid pace. Well, less damage at a quicker pace, but they have to not move as they do it. They have options for mitigating the deficits of movement. So they have like a skill that lets them cast 3 spells for free, even if they're moving. So like no cast time. But you gotta know when to use that, when not to use it, and when it's gonna go off cooldown. As one might expect from a wizard, Black Mage is big brain. Black Mage is big brain. Samurai is not exactly small brain, but it is definitely more unga bunga.
Smash your head on the keyboard type of thing.
Yeah, smash your head on the keyboard. Is the boss dead? If no, throw your keyboard down the stairs. You probably just got a 200k crit and the boss is now dead. Congratulations. Just like League.
Yep.
But only with Draven. Only with Draven.
There you go.
You have like the rest of the DPS roster, and I'm gonna list them off a little quickly. You've got Monk, who is also a classic in RPGs in general. Monk has, oh my god, this class changes like every bloody expansion because they don't know what they want to do with it. Monk is like, prior to Shadowbringers, it was arguably not even arguably, it was straight up the clunkiest DPS job to use in the game. And it was for like close to no real gain. Like the damage output is great, but you have to do so much micromanagement back. You had to do so much micromanagement back in the day. They have since made Monk a lot easier to play, and a lot of the Monk mains out there were kind of upset about this because it took away a bit of the identity of the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was their job. It was one of the hardest jobs to use in the game, even in my honest opinion, harder than Black Mage. Like if you put a gun to my head and said, am I gonna run Monk or am I gonna run Black Mage? I'm choosing Black Mage. Black Mage is easier than Monk by a metric mile.
Ooh. Okay.
And it made it easier, but I'm not sure if the price was worth it. Like, I still like Monk. I think Monk has some of the dopest animations in the game right now. But I don't play Monk, so I honestly can't comment on how it's lost its identity from the old days. So, next we got Dragoon, which is my main class. This is the one I've been using since... Oh my god, when was Heaven's Word? 2015? Yeah, that.
This guy.
Dragoon is in a very good spot right now. Honestly, they don't have to make any changes to it come Endwalker. its kit is concise, it flows into itself beautifully, and it's not even that complicated. You got a 10-hit damage combo. Well, you have two 10-hit damage combos that you cycle through, and you have your jumps that you weave in during these 10-hit combos. After a certain point, you enter what is known as like Life of the Dragon, which is a 30-second window where you have a really strong like conal AoE attack, and you've got this one gigantic AoE that's a massive explosion that you only get to use once in that entire that entire phase. And you're still doing your two 10-hit combo rotations during this 30-second window. It sounds complicated, and honestly, it can be a little overwhelming if you jump into it without learning it from level 1 all the way to level 80. But Dragoon is one of the simplest DPS classes to play, but it's really rewarding when you do it correctly. The only one, like, but there's always a downside. Dragoons are a mimetic. Well, Dragoon players are gigantic memes because we are considered floor tanks, apparently. And what that means is we're always the first to die because when we do a jump, we suffer what is known as animation lock. And this means when you jump, even though your character isn't even on the screen anymore, you're still wherever the hell you were standing. Which means if there was like an AoE circle where you were standing and you did jump, if you don't land and get out of the way before that circle goes off, you're probably dead. And just them's the breaks, my guy.
That's kind of funny.
And we also have a backflip that it doesn't do damage. It's literally just a getaway move from the boss. We have a backflip that spans the course of like, I think it's 25 yalms, so 25 yards. In raid content, you have very small arenas that you can fall off of. So it's not uncommon for a Dragoon to like really feel themselves in their glow, click elusive jump, and then immediately yeet themselves off the battlefield and die.
Okay.
It's hysterical. And I admit, I have accidentally yeeted myself. I'm trying to think of how many times I've done it. Because I've done it twice, and one of them was after the dungeon was over. We basically did the second to last boss fight. No, we did the last dungeon of Shadowbringers. And after the fight was over, I basically did elusive jump because I wanted to like save on movement to get to the treasure chest. I flipped off the stage onto like straight to my death. She was dying of laughter in the call. I'm just glad she was the healer because I don't think I could have been revived after that. I admit it, I am not perfect. I love Dragoon. I will defend that class to my dying breath. But yeah, I've elusive jumped to my demise before. But when you do elusive jump correctly, like you use it to dodge a mechanic, let the mechanic go off, and then you jump right back in with any of your jumping moves that close the distance, and you continue your rotation like nothing ever happened, you feel unstoppable. You feel like Saitama from One Punch Man.
No, there you go.
Next up,
okay, how many more characters? I'm sorry, I was gonna ask how many more characters do you have?
Oh, we got 3. We've got Ninja, Summoner, and Red Mage.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Because I'm not covering Blue Mage. Blue Mage is the limited job. That's for another day.
Okay.
Ninja is more along the lines of support DPS like Bard, Machinist, and Dancer, where they have a rotation that is all about like laying down damage circles that damage the boss over time. Not DPS, dots, so damage over time, so debuffs. Bards also do that. But the claim to fame the ninja is a move called Trick Attack. Basically, if you position yourself behind the enemy and pop Trick Attack, you get a 10% damage bonus for everyone in the raid. Literally everyone is now doing 10% more damage. And if you pop this when everyone has like their raid buffs up, like if you make it a line, the boss's HP just melts. It gets absolutely shredded. Trick Attack was so good that they had to nerf it. It didn't used to be. It didn't used to be 10%. Oh, it's not even 10% anymore. It's 5%. Oh, that means they nerfed it twice. All right, when Ninja was first introduced in A Realm Reborn, it was like Trick Attack was a 15% damage increase. That was so good that Ninja was mandatory in every single raid, no questions asked. Then they nerfed it to 10%, still mandatory. 10% is huge. Now it's only 5%, and it's still really good, but not must have. I do like Ninja. Like Ninja, it's not the Naruto style of Ninja, if any of you are familiar with that anime. It's more in line with like tossing shurikens, shadow clones, like disappearing in the shadows. It's not about summoning gigantic Jin Churiki, and like fighting with like kaiju. It's not that. You want to fight with kaiju? Let's talk about Summoner, who is next on the list as it happens to stand. Summoner is another callback, not a callback, another very familiar job from older games in the franchise. Basically, you summon gods essentially, like the are they called aspects? Projections. There we go. Are you forced to fast travel or is it open world? Like, can I fly? You are not forced to fast travel. It is open world, and yes, you can fly.
You can fuck, bro.
Bruh. Okay, we'll get to that. I'm almost done.
I didn't even think about flying. Continue. Carry on. Carry on.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But Summoner, you get to summon like Eidolons and classic summons from across Final Fantasy. Like you get an Ifrit summon, you get a Garuda summon, you get Titan. And when you're in a state known as Dreadworm trance, you get to summon Bahamut, the god, the All Father. And this dude just nukes the battlefield, and it's one of the. I don't remember. I don't know if it's still one of the strongest damaging moves in the game, but it used to be. Like basically, your whole point as a summoner was to get into Dreadworm stance and line it up with all of the raid buffs. So you wanted the Dragoon's crit rate boost from Battle Litany. You wanted the Bard's. I don't even remember what it was called. But you wanted the Bard's damage buff. I think Machinist has one. You wanted to be the dance partner from Dancer. Pop Dreadworm Trance, fire Bahamut. Watch that health bar melt. It just gets deleted. There was a 90% here. It's gone now. Red Mage is the last job on this list, and Red Mage is all about style and all about swagger. So Red Mage is about balancing white magic and black magic, as you might expect if you're familiar with it from other games in the series. In addition to that, they also have like a gap closer where they use a melee combo that expends the gauges that they spent building resources for using their white and black magic. And they can also heal. In fact, Red Mage has a revive as a DPS unit, which means you can technically have. I mean, you're obviously not going to play Red Mage as a healer, but you technically have like 3 healers in hard content. Because you have to bring 2 healers for like 8-man raids. But if you bring a Red Mage and both healers go down, Red Mage is automatic MVP because they're going to like, they have their own Swift Cast raise without needing to do Swift Cast. They can bring back a healer and then bring back the other healer by using Verraise again. And then the 2 healers can just pick things back up as if nothing ever happened. Like Red Mage straight up saves runs. It's a very good class. Also, don't at me. Red Mage has the best glamour potential in the game. We'll get to glamours in a minute because we're about to answer all of these questions. But if you want to look your best in Final Fantasy XIV, you're either running Bard or you're running Red Mage. Them's kind of the breaks. You can get some mad style with Astrologian, and by extension, Black Mage and Summoner, but Bard, Dancer, and Red Mage, these are these are the style classes. These are the ones you play when you want to style on people with your wardrobe.
Nice. Okay.
Now let's answer some of these questions. We'll start with Luchasaurus Rex about picking a character. So, Final Fantasy XIV is very different from, let's say, World of Warcraft, where you pick a character, you make them, so you design them like you want an orc, you want an elf, and then you pick your class. In World of Warcraft, at least in World of Warcraft, back when the game first came out, and I was like following it, you get one class on one character, and if you want to do a different job, you have to roll a completely separate character and level up all over again. In Final Fantasy XIV, I just listed off 17 different job classes. You can have one character do all 17 jobs at literally no penalty. So I guess to answer the question, picking a character, it's not the same as picking a role, and character type is strictly for like role-playing purposes. Like maybe you want to be a cat boy, maybe you want to be a bunny boy, maybe you want to be a big old lizard, maybe you want to be some like big buff macho dude like Chuck Norris. Doesn't matter how you want to look. That's not going to stop you from like being a dancer but looking like Chuck Norris. Like maybe you want to be a Chuck Norris dancer. Do it. We can't stop you.
You said big buffo healer. Yo.
Yeah, baby. So I can like pick anything, and they can do whatever. Like, yes, if you want to be the big macho, you want to be a big macho dude, but you want to carry a healing staff around and like aid the sick and helpless. Yes, do it.
Yo, I like that. Hey, can you imagine J-Man?
Yo, let's go. Okay, so you see the guy on screen right now, this big buff dude named Sirius Sultan Sworn. You can look like that and be a healer, and the game can't tell you no.
There's no. Oh my. Okay. All right. I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
And if you wanted to be like a tiny Lalafell, so those are like the dwarvish people. If you wanted to be a Lalafell but be a warrior and carry around a big old axe and just fell cleave everything, the game cannot tell you no. You are the tank. They have to respect it. The game's really free as far as like cosmetics are concerned. So let's get on to Clockwork's question. Since I kind of skipped and went to Luchasaurus Rex's second question.
Yeah.
Okay, for Clockwork. Boy, you are not forced to fast travel at any point in the game. If you want to like take the long way. Okay, no, I take that back. There are some cutscenes that do like force you to fast travel to where the next story bit happens. But honestly, this is a blessing because normally when this happens, they expect you to go really far, which would cost Gil in terms of like fast travel. However, under normal circumstances, if you want to walk the whole way from like, let's say they ask you to go from Ul'dah, which is the city state we're in right now in this video on stream, and they want you to go to Gridania, you can actually walk from Ul'dah all the way to the forest. The only way the game can stop you is with enemies along the way that are way too strong for you to defeat. And I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who's been playing this game for ever since like A Realm Reborn came out, I actually did something that was kind of dumb. I walked from basically the southern edge of the map of the world, which is Ul'dah right here. I walked all the way to the north in the Arctic region called the Coerthas Highlands, just because I wanted to see what the gates to Ishgard look like. I trekked from southern Thanalan all the way to the Western Highlands and ended up meeting enemies that are like level 50, and I'm like level 37. I was able to weave my way through all of these mobs trying to kill me just to get a glimpse at this one location that you couldn't even visit yet, because you're not going to be able to visit it until the next expansion in Heavensward. The game let me do that. It presented obstacles along the way, but it did not flat out say no. you have a lot of freedom when it comes to travel. And the next bit of that freedom is flying, which is the question you asked. So you get mounts in Final Fantasy XIV. In Heavensward, the expansion after A Realm Reborn, they introduced the concept of flying because the maps got way bigger. Like they basically ballooned. The maps in A Realm Reborn, so Ul'dah, Thanalan, Limsa Lominsa, Lanosia, Gridania, all those, like everything on the Eorzean continent is like really small in comparison to what you will find later on in Heavensward and beyond. And to facilitate traveling in these locations, they give you mounts. Well, they made it so that your mounts can fly. Now, they recently went back to A Realm Reborn and made a lot of changes. Like, they cut out a lot of the useless quests to make the story easier to digest and go through. But they also made it so that you can fly in the A Realm Reborn zones. So you get to travel around this already relatively small map even faster and more conveniently. Now, I want to talk about this because I know RGB 945 is going to love this. Mount variety. You're not just getting horses and you're not just getting chocobos. You have a lot of stuff in this game. So you have chocobos.
I'm listening.
So you have chocobos, which are the iconic giant chickens of Final Fantasy XIV. Though, like, that's the first mount you get. That's the one that you are more or less required to get by the main story. What's another one? What's one that you might like? You get a behemoth. A behemoth is a classic, like, in-game Final Fantasy monster. I don't think you're going to see it in this video here because that's actually really late in the main game. But you can basically go around on this gigantic monster that would normally be trying to eat your face off. You get unicorns. You get Pegasi. You get a dragon. You get a motorcycle. You get a limo. All of these can fly, by the way. You get a flying limo. You get a flying motorcycle. You see that demon on screen right now? I think that one's also a mount.
That's awesome.
You get this magic sphere. Well, it's not magic. It's more like super like sci-fi. You get this sci-fi sphere that like trash talks. Oh, you get a gorilla? Oh, you also get a fat cat. Yeah. So there's this creature called Fat Cat, right? And it's this super adorable little thing that you can just step near and it'll just flop over on its side and just flail its stubby little legs. It's also a mount. You're flying through the air on a fat cat. I cannot make this up. Like oh my god, there's so many. Basically, collecting mounts on its own is like an entire in-game goal. Like, there is no shortage of mounts that you can get in this game, and I assure you there's something for everyone. What's a recent one that they released? Oh man. So Final Fantasy, well, Shadowbringers recently completed a raid series known as the Weapons, like the Weapons job line. For those of you who play Final Fantasy VII, you're probably familiar with Diamond Weapon, Sapphire Weapon, Ruby Weapon, and Emerald Weapon. You know, the super bosses of that game. All of these are boss fights in Final Fantasy XIV. And by defeating them, you can potentially get a mountain drop from them. And if you collect all of them, you get this, oh my god, it's this badass looking spaceship in the design of a crimson and like ebon dragon. It's one of the coolest mounts I've seen in the game. And I now need to go back and do those raids to get the other mounts so I can get this one.
That's awesome. So, you are going a little too off. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm like, man, this guy's going way off on the mounts. So, There's more than one thing you can ride. Kind of like what's that one game? Kind of like Pokemon Go, where you can ride your Pokemon and go around and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like that.
Oh my god, why would you tell me this?
Well, I mean, well, someone in the audience asked, and I'm not gonna tell lies.
Oh my god. Okay, all right. I'm kind of okay with it. Kind of okay with it. Um, so we talked about all of the variety. Oh, somebody asked, is this only on PC? I don't know.
No,
Oh,
incorrect. Final Fantasy 14 is it? It's not on Xbox. I think it's exclusive to like PlayStation and currently PC.
okay. There you go. So if you got a PS4, I'm assuming, you can play. Okay. So we went through that. Oh, talk to us about
Oh,
cosmetics.
I'm wrong. It's on Xbox One now. They
Oh,
did
boom.
release a client for Xbox One. I forgot they did that.
Oh, so that okay. There you go. So so PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So it doesn't even matter.
And it is supported on Mac OS for you Macintosh people out there. So if you are on Apple, do not worry. You can actually play Final Fantasy 14. This is not beyond you. So yeah, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and Mac OS. So it's very accessible now.
Bro, you have no idea. All right, yeah, yeah.
and this is also very important because I'm pretty sure this is going to be Beast Mode's follow-up question. It's cross-plat. You are not restricted to just playing with people on the Xbox One. And it's been like that since the Realm Reborn release. I started on the PS3 before I got my beloved rig that's right next to me. I was on PS3 playing alongside the PC elites. And they had no idea that I was on PS3 because I also had a USB keyboard. Because normally that's how you can tell. If it takes someone forever to type out a response, they're probably on controller with no keyboard to help them. But no, this game's very accessible and it's very open with how it allows you to play with other people.
Cross-plat, dude. I'm all for cross-plat. I'm all for cross. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As am I.
If this is a recent game, no. No, I'm sorry, Beast Mode, but this is not a recent game.
Technically, no, it is not. A Realm Reborn came out in 2013. Heaven's Word, its first expansion, released in 2015. Stormblood was 2017, and then Shadowbringers was 2019. Endwalker will be recent when it drops on November 23rd. Is it November 23rd? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, November 23rd. It's on, like, I think they always release the expansions on a Tuesday.
Oh.
But no, this game, like, if you take the game in its entirety, this game has been around since before 2013.
Whoa, was it 8 years? 9 years?
Yeah, man, this game's been in existence for like quite some time. This game was new when I was a broke high school boy. I am now almost 28 years old, and I can casually pay for my subscription and not even feel bad if I don't play for a month. Holy crap, I can't believe I made it.
Yeah, you're telling me. That's insane, dude. Okay, so talk about cosmetics, because I remember you said, because remember earlier we had a thought or train of thought. Basically, it was, can you do? Oh, all right, a couple questions. So, if you wanted to do a dungeon, a raid, or anything like that, right? Do you need to wear your armor, or can you just go, just go have at it? And then another question is, if can you not, how do I put it? Can you change your attire but have your armor not shown?
Alrighty, so I'm gonna answer the first question because it does feed into the second. Your stats and by extension your performance are determined by your gear. You, for the most part, cannot do content if your gear does not at least meet the recommended item level. However, for the second half of this question, your cosmetics, Final Fantasy XIV does a system known as glamour. Basically, you can take anything you have, including your weapons and accessories, and make them look like something else. Do you see this gentleman named Papa Sean right here? Let's say you are like a level 80 warrior or something, and you want it to look like that. The gear he is wearing isn't even combat gear. That is just gear you wear outside when you're doing your job as like a train attendant. If you wanted to look like a train attendant instead of a paladin while doing paladin things, the game does not say no. The game is just like, okay, go find the gear that makes you look like this, put it in your glamour dresser, and then get the glamour prisms needed to like cast the magics to make your level 80 armor look like the train attendant uniform. And then you go into combat and you look like a train attendant, but you're wielding a sword and shield.
Ooh.
And I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't go into detail because I wanted to surprise you on stream. You can also make it so that your weapons, and if you have a shield, in the case of Paladin, invisible.
Okay, alright.
So you can go into combat wielding a sword and shield that are just straight up invisible. The enemy is getting hit with nothing. You are that strong. Whack. And you'll find that this is actually a very popular choice among monk mains. Because they don't like the fact that, so the problem here is that because your stats are determined by your gear, you have to equip a weapon in order to be like effective. But when you play monk in Final Fantasy, you want to play the monk from like the original game from like, what is it, the 1980s? You want to be the monk that literally throws away his weapons because his fists are stronger than weapons. Final Fantasy XIV lets you do that. You can basically, so you put on the gauntlets that you're going to have to wear, right? They're level 80, they're level 70, doesn't matter. You can apply a glamour called the Emperor's New Fist, and it basically makes them invisible. So it looks like you're walking around punching things with your bare hands, as the 12 intended.
There we go. Yep.
And if you're a black mage who wants to look like you're casting magic with your bare hands, like you're not relying on a conjuring staff to channel your magics, you can do that too. I haven't seen anyone actually do that yet, but yeah. Oh man, Asmongold. I'm actually kind of glad Lucasaurus Rex mentioned that. So for anyone for anyone not initiated, Asmongold is one of the most popular and well-known World of Warcraft players. This man does everything, and he can put even the most seasoned no-lifer to shame. For him, he can casually say grind for 30 hours a day, and you completely believe him. And yes, dead serious, grind for 30 hours a day. He is the type of man who can make it possible. And Asmongold is actually playing Final Fantasy XIV right now. Like a lot of people in his stream were like basically telling him to give this game a shot. Because he was kind of dunking on it, not as like a WoW fanboy or anything, but just from because Final Fantasy XIV is a very anime game. Like you got cat girls, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You got edgy Dark Knight boys walking around with their Cloud Buster swords, looking like Guts from Berserk. It's a very anime game, and that's like a turnoff for a lot of people. Like a lot of people like the Western Tolkien-esque character designs of like the world and stuff, but Final Fantasy XIV is like very sleek, very streamlined, very, again, anime. But Asmongold gave it a shot, and he is loving the game. Like if you watch his stream, I don't think there's been a single moment where he has not been into it. Like he's not, I don't know if he's for like buying into the whole WoW killer thing. I'm personally not into that mindset. Because it's like, why not both, right? They're two very different games. 14 is a very different MMO compared to World of Warcraft. They play different. Even the way you did, like, design your character is different. Like, it's fundamental. Not getting into the whole thing with Blizzard and their like really bad business practices, but if I had the choice and the time, I'd be willing to play words are hard. I'd be willing to play World of Warcraft alongside Final Fantasy 14. I'd totally be willing to do that. But in terms of like what I'm looking for in an MMORPG, for me, I really love story. I really love my music. And I do like things being high mechanics. Final Fantasy 14 ticks all of those boxes. World of Warcraft has good music. Do not get me wrong. The story, if you get invested in it, it is good. Like Wrath of the Lich King. I love the lore from Wrath of the Lich King. But as far as like raids are concerned, when I was following World of Warcraft back in the day, all of its raids boiled down to DPS check the fight. Mechanics don't matter. You just need to bring as much DPS as possible, and your build needs to be as damage centric as possible. And compare and contrast to Final Fantasy 14, where you've got mini bosses that can, towards the end of their fight, throw out like 3 different mechanics that are overlapping at the same time, and you need to dodge all of them or else you wipe. And that's a mini boss. When you get to like high tier raids, they're throwing out like 5 to 7. And you have to keep track of all of this on top of your rotation, on top of your health bar, and you need to be watching out for your allies, because there are mechanics where you either need to get the hell away from them, or you need to stack up with them to take damage together. Otherwise, the person with the stack marker, if they're alone, they just die. Like, 14 is a very mechanic-heavy game, and it rewards you for not just for memorization, but being able to adapt on the fly. In my honest opinion, it's great to watch a perfect run of a raid, kind of like watching a tool-assisted run of an NES game. But for me, it's even more interesting to watch a raid go horribly, horribly wrong and see if the party can actually pick it back up. Like, to me, that's the mark of like a true high tier raider. Like, if you can salvage a situation where it's just 1 tank and 2 healers, and you bring the whole raid back after that, no, you have nothing but my utmost respect. And I've seen it happen. I've actually been there. So, minor tangent. This will be really quick. I was doing one of the last dungeons of Heavensward, right? I was alongside my sister, and we got, ironically enough, we got another like pair of friends to join us in Party Finder. So basically, they joined us randomly for this dungeon. It was a tank and a healer. My sister was DPS, and I was also DPS. We got to the second boss, got it down to like the last 3% of his HP. The tank disconnected. Their connection just died on them. The healer died shortly after because, again, healing aggro. You are at the top of the list, buddy. You gotta go. And then my sister didn't know what to do, and she just fell over. So now it's just me and this giant dragon that wants to eat my face off. I've got full health. You know what? I'm not gonna lay down and die. I'm gonna go for it. I pop Bloodbath, which is a skill that for like 15 seconds partially it converts a portion of the damage you deal into healing. And I just fought tooth and nail with this thing, and I won. So the boss falls down, and I just sit there, waiting for my team to come back. And it was a really triumphant moment, because it's like, yeah, I salvaged a really bad situation that I probably should have just died to, but I didn't die, and we were able to continue without redoing the fight. That's the kind of thing. That's the thing I play MMOs for. Moments like that. I love those moments.
I'm just trying to trying to think what else. Okay. So basically, how do I put it? So far, what we learned is you can pick any character of your choosing, right? So far, that's what we come up with. You can pick anybody you want, and then once you pick that person, you can pick a job that you like, right? And that
Yeah, you pick a job.
determines
You pick a job to start.
and that determines your game style or gameplay, I guess you could say.
Well, the only thing it determines is the starting city that you're gonna be in until like level 30.
Okay.
But after that, they let you class change to whatever you want.
Okay.
So long
Okay.
as you meet the criteria for those classes. Um, Here's another thing. Since going back to cosmetics for a bit, if you at any point decide that you don't like the way your character looks or you want to change how they look, you don't have to make another character. There's an item called a Fantasia that you can just get. You use it, and for a one-time deal, you get to change your character's cosmetic. Like their whole design, even if you want to change their race. Like, let's say you started out as a human, like the guy the main character was just talking to here. You don't want to look like a human anymore. Now you want to look like some super buff swole Rokudan. Because you want to be that big buff swole healer dude like J-Man. You can change to big swole healer J-Man by using a Fantasia. I think you get one for free in the game just by playing it normally. But after that, you do kind of have to buy them. And I forget how much they cost. Is it like $8? Yeah, I think it's like $8. However, there's also another one that lets you change your hairstyle. Now I'm willing to bet the light bulb just went off in RGB 945's head. Because this man was going to the salon every day in Pokemon Shield, or in Pokemon Sword.
Hey man, cosmetics, they're important.
But yeah, there's actually an NPC known as the Aesthetician who basically gives you a makeover whenever you want. Want to change your hairstyle for the week? Cool, go ahead. You don't have to pay extra for that one. That's not like the Fantasia. That's just going to your barber, basically.
And then, well, okay, so you explained that. So, okay, I remember you talked about it, and you basically said you have pajamas and Pikachu, Pikachu shoes, because you know you're casual.
I wasn't expecting you to remember that.
Bro, like, I
Believe
was.
it or not, I don't have a cat girl for like as my character. I rolled a human, like a human male. So I made a glamour because my sister was like giving me crap about how I'm always dressed for battle. I sleep in my armor like a heathen, like uncultured swine, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take a day, and then the next time I see her, I'm gonna surprise the hell out of her. So I grinded for like the materials because I'm also a crafter in my game. Like my character is an Omni crafter. I have every crafting class leveled except Culinarian, and I have every gathering class leveled except Fisher. I make my own gear. I make my own clothes. I am a self-made individual. So I got the materials to make these wind silk bottoms, which are basically like pajama bottoms, right? I made these Pikachu slippers. Well, actually, no, I had to buy the Pikachu slippers from like the Mog Station. That cost me a bit of money, it's like the real world money. And then I put on like I think it was a turtleneck, like a cashmere turtleneck, and I just walked outside with my katana, and I was like, "Hey, sis, check this out." She was speechless. What is that? I'm dressed for success. Let's go fight a raid. You're in your pajamas. I got my katana. That's all I need. Are those carbuncle slippers? Yeah, pretty good, right? Like you just show up to fight God, but you're in your PJs and your Pikachu slippers. Oh yeah, man, it's time. Some of my favorite stuff to do is like do my daily roulettes, and I end up in this one dungeon called the Praetorium, which is basically just a bunch of cutscenes strung together. There's barely any gameplay to this. it's basically free experience. There was this one time where I was dressed in like my combat armor, like I was ready for war. And in the cutscene, standing next to me is a fellow healer, like a healer woman. She's dressed as like a freaking Starbucks waitress. She's got the apron. She's got her hair tied back in a ponytail, and she has a freaking Buster sword on her back. Like, yeah, I'm on my break. Gonna beat up some Garleans for like the next hour. I'm just like, she is really about to go and fight the Ultima weapon in her work clothes. She's the tank. She's the one taking damage. Her clothes are gonna be immaculate after this, despite that. And I have to respect it.
Okay. But yeah, that was actually the my whole thing. 'Cause like I said, I was under the impression that you can do your Pikachu slippers, and I was like, what Pikachu slippers?
You can do your Pikachu slippers basically wherever you want. Even in the most serious of cutscenes, the game is just like, well, it's the Warrior of Light if that's what he wants to do.
Alright. Which I kind of remember. I am all for aesthetics, right? I am all for aesthetics. So I like this feature. Not gonna lie, I like this feature, and that's basically. I'm probably gonna spend most of my time here too. Which I don't know what to say about that.
Let's be frank. In Final Fantasy 14, glamour is the real end game. Everyone in the community will tell you that. Literally, even the people who don't do glamour.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person who does glamour all that often. I'm very picky and selective about how I want my character to look. I make one outfit, and that's what we're gonna roll with until the next expansion. Basically, I treat outfit changes the same way you would treat an important anime haircut in some random show. Like, I only do it when I feel like it's super necessary for his character. But nah, man, if you get into the glamour end game,
Yeah.
man, it's you basically get a fashion simulator with a game on the side. It pays for itself.
Oh, that's dope. Other questions I had. So, aside from so aesthetics, not really. There's no limitations. Now I know like other games, I think they have like a daily mission thing, like a daily bonus or something, kind of like a daily win of the day or something, right? Does this game have the same thing?
Yeah. So I mentioned like my daily roulettes. I mentioned that before.
Okay.
Daily roulettes. As you get closer to the level cap, you'll get these things called like tombstones. You can use these to purchase a wide variety of things. Actually, you can use them to purchase new weapons, new armor. Depending on the type of tombstone that it is, you can even get like the true in-game like raid appropriate gear that will help you farm the harder raids.
Mm-hmm.
You get gil bonuses, you get experience bonuses. Like, your roulettes are important and you should do them every day if you're like dedicated to leveling up. This also ties into what I was telling you before at work, where you can level a class up to level 80 in like 3 days. And it's because of your roulettes. Your roulettes are just that good.
Oh.
And one thing is, you have a adventurer in need super bonus with your roulettes, where let's say the adventurer that the group that they're offering a bonus for is tank. If you queue for a duty as a tank while this particular adventurer in need is active, you get even more experience and even more gil. All because you decided, you know what, I want to be a tank today. And when the experience points like stop mattering, so you hit the level cap, which right now is 80, and Endwalker it'll be 90. You don't get EXP anymore. Instead, they just give you the super premium tombstone and gil.
Question then. Another question. Mm-hmm. So I know you level up, and I remember you said your level doesn't determine how strong you are, it's your armor. So just like other Final Fantasy games, is that how like basically you level your armor up, right, or your equipment, right? Is that how
You
the
level
game?
up your sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
You
Go ahead.
you level up your character and your armor. Basically, this isn't like other Final Fantasy games where you can literally just take any weapon you pick up off the street and use it at its full capacity. There are level requirements for the gear that you obtain. So you can't equip something that's like level 80. You can't equip the stuff from Epic of Alexander if you're not at level 80 to equip it. And that's how the game balances all of this out. Otherwise, you'd see this player right here walking around in like the Shadowbringer's artifact armor for Dark Knight. Like she'd be stacked to the teeth. And literally nothing in the game will be able to stop her. She'd even be able to solo like every dungeon in the game up to the beginning of Stormblood if she had her level 80 gear at level 1. It would be insane. So no, like your character's level does matter because one, it determines what content you can do, and two, it determines what gear you can equip.
Okay. Um. So limit breaks. Is that a such thing as Final Fantasy 14?
Oh yeah, limit breaks are in this. You'll typically use limit breaks in like trash pools where you'll have like limit break 1 available, or you'll save them for like the final boss of a raid. I mean, of a dungeon where you can get up to limit break 3. And at limit break, well, limit breaks 1 and 2 are shared by the roles. So, for example, physical like melee DPS at level 1, they all get cross slash. So Cloud's one of Cloud's limit breaks from Final Fantasy 7. At limit break level 2, they all get braver. Another one of Cloud's his limit breaks from Final Fantasy 7. But at level 3, every job class in the game has a limit break unique to them and only them. And it's a bombastic animation that is just plain it's badass. It's the ultimate fantasy of whatever the job class is. So for example, White Mage, they get what is it called? Is it called Whisper of the Land? It's literally Aerith's ultimate limit break from Final Fantasy VII. That's what the White Mages get at level 3. It's Pulse of Life. Pulse of Life, that's what it's called. Why do I remember that? I didn't even use Aerith in Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, that's besides the point.
That's beside the point. Samurai gets Doom of the Living, which is like a series of sword slashes followed by one last sheath, waits for like a second, and then does this super powerful slash that straight up rends the ground itself. It looks great. Machinist, they literally call in a satellite to nuke the enemy from orbit. Oh yeah, it's medieval fantasy, but don't worry, we've got nuke satellites. It's cool.
Oh, so how do you focus stats for your job?
So this whole process actually got streamlined a fair bit.
Okay.
Your gear will give you all of the stats you need for whatever your class is, right? But they have what are known as materia slots. Materia is not like what it was in Final Fantasy VII, because I know that name is going to sound very familiar to all of you FF7 fans out there. Materia in Final Fantasy 14 gives you stats. It doesn't give you like abilities. So you can't be a Dark Knight and cast like Faraga or cast Meteor or anything like that. Instead, if you decide that you want more vitality because you want more HP, you want to be even tankier, even chunkier, you grab like vitality materials and you put that into your gear. Now, I don't think you actually can do that anymore. I think vitality There used to be a materia for like literally every stat in the game. So intelligence, strength, mind, piety. In A Realm Reborn, those materia existed, but I think when Stormblood arrived, those materia just straight up like they're still in the game, but they're useless. They do nothing. So instead, you get to focus on like the stats that your gear doesn't really like hard focus on. So let's say I have a weapon, right? It gives me strength, it gives me vitality because those are the stats it's forced to give. It can have 2 extra stats. And these can range from skill speed, critical hit, direct hit, and determination. So as a samurai, I'm just gonna say my katana gives me strength, vitality, critical hit, and direct hit, and I get up to 5 materia slots on it. You get 2 innately, and you get 3 overmelds. Overmelds, you don't need to know what that is. If you play the game, oh, believe me, you'll find out what overmelding is, and you're gonna grow to hate it like everybody else does. But you get 2 materia slots at base. These materia slots can be used to boost whatever stat is not already capped on the weapon itself. So, for example, I have critical hit and direct hit on my katana, right? But if I look at the stats on it, critical hit is at like 245 out of 315. Whereas direct hit is like, I don't know, 250 out of 290. If I wanted to, I could get materia to increase both critical hit and direct hit to bring them closer to their stat cap, or I can go the alternative route and make it so that I choose determination and oh crap, what is the other one? Skill speed. There we go. Skill speed. That was the one I said wasn't on this weapon. So if I wanted to do skill speed or determination instead of adding more crit or direct hit to the weapon, I can do that. And you're also free to remove the materia whenever you want. Originally, I think in A Realm Reborn, trying to remove materia would actually destroy the gear it's attached to. So you would never do this. Basically, you put your materia on and it's for keeps. Period. I think they changed that in Stormblood, but it's definitely in there in Shadowbringers where removing the materia, depending on the gear, it'll just run the risk of destroying the materia. It doesn't destroy the gear anymore. You don't have to refarm your damn weapon because that's awful game design. Like that's just straight up tedium in its like at its core. So you do have some freedom in how you build your character. Like if you want, I guess now's a good time to talk about like your skills and global cooldowns. I'll try to make this one real quick. So in Final Fantasy 14, there's something known as the global cooldown. World of Warcraft has this as well. I believe WoW's global cooldown is 1.5 seconds. So it's really fast. In World of Warcraft, you're never not clicking a button. In Final Fantasy 14, it starts for everyone at like 2.5 seconds. So that sounds really bad, and believe me, I understand. That sounds really bloody slow. At the start of A Realm Reborn, yes, it is really slow because you only have 2 buttons to click and you need to wait like 2.5 seconds to click each of them. So you'll do like Hakaze, the basic slash as a samurai, and then you gotta wait 2.5 seconds to do Shifu, and then you gotta go back to Hakaze again. And I understand, that's really boring, and that's suffering. Luckily for you, leveling up is really fast in this game, especially now, and especially if you are like a newcomer, because you get all of these like lovely tools and accessories to increase your EXP gain. You'll basically be way over leveled for like the content, and you'll never have to worry about getting stopped by the game because you're too low level to do whatever the next content is. And don't worry about like not being able to like be challenged because your level scales down so that you're not like overpowered and destroying everything with literally no effort. They do kind of make you work for it. You'll basically
But
be the global cooldown. Skill speed is important for certain job classes. For a lot of other job classes, skill speed is literally worthless because your skill speed will level up naturally with not just your stats, like your character's physical stats because of physical level, but also because of your armor. So skill speed is usually taken care of. For people who want to do like really specific skill speed thresholds because they want their rotations to line up, that's the min-maxing realm. I've only done that with Dragoon because I wanted a skill speed of like 2.35. And I, you don't know, I also did it with Samurai because I wanted a skill speed of 2.0 flat. Apparently that's not good, but that's another story for another day.
okay. I'm gonna say let's just keep it at 2 hours. 5 more minutes, basically. 5 more minutes.
Alrighty,
What
alrighty.
advice? Yeah, we can always revert back to this. I mean, this game has been around for what, 8 years? You said
Yeah, it's been around.
it's been around. So if anything, I guess anybody that's interested could always come up with new questions for next week, and we can continue with the Final Fantasy 14 because, as you can tell, Tehran has a lot to say about Final Fantasy 14. Anything you would recommend for a noob? So, in case for you guys that didn't know, you can buy the game now. It's I think it's 25 if you go on the website. I think on the direct website. And the thing is, you get this. Go ahead, Tehran. I think you get like an experience boost thingy.
Yeah, it's gonna be an earring because it's an earring in like every expansion. Basically, if you pre-order the game, they give you an experience earring that increases the amount of experience you gain. I don't know how much the one in Endwalker is gonna give you, but I think it's 35% extra experience. It's a stupid number. It's always a stupid number. I thought 10% was absurd when I pre-ordered A Realm Reborn back when the game first came out. Like with 10%, I was leveling up mad fast. You guys are getting like 35%. That's nutty. And that's not even counting like the road to 90 like buff, which passively gives you more experience for any class that's not at level 90.
There we go.
So don't worry about not being able to catch up. You'll get to level 90 mad quick and you won't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
But advice for those who want to get into the game. And I'm going to extend this to RGB 945 as well because he was asking about this. Picking your first job class. Like I said, you can roll any class in the game that you want and switch between them freely, and the game even encourages it. But since meta does not matter and you can literally play whatever you want whenever you want, I honestly advise you guys to look up the list of job classes, look up a YouTube video of that class doing all of its skills, and just pick the one that looks coolest to you. The one whose fantasy clicks with you the most. Do you want to be like Megamine from Konosuba and just literally cast Explosion all day, every day? Black Mage. You want to play Black Mage. Do you want to like jump high into the sky and just slam on dragons with a spear? Dragoon. Join the club. I welcome you. You want to be the dude who just protects everyone with a shield and holy armor? Paladin. You want to be edgy? You want to like drown your enemies in everlasting darkness? Conjure from the voids of your soul? Dark Knight. Just, come on, man, do it. There's nothing wrong with being edgy. You want to be Squall from Final Fantasy VIII? Hey, Gunbreaker's right over there, and their gun blades are just like his. So I ain't telling you not to be like Squall, but you can be like Squall if you want. You want to be a healer that gets really upset with people? White Mage, or you just play healer. But yeah, I do recommend like looking up all of the job like job actions, and whatever clicks to you the most, give that a try. The community, okay, I'm not going to be one of those people who says the community is like perfect and has no toxicity. That's impossible. Every community has some toxicity to it. But Final Fantasy XIV's community is like it's pretty good.
He said
Like
it's pretty good.
Like the people are welcoming, and if you need help with something, like if you're in the middle of a dungeon and you just have no bloody idea what you're doing, it's your first time tanking, just communicate that with your people in the dungeon or the raid. 9 times out of 10, you've got someone who's done that dungeon before, and they can walk you through it. Like, even if it's a DPS guy and you're a tank and you don't know what's going to happen, they can even tell you when the boss is going to do tank busters and when you want to do cooldowns. Like, players in Final Fantasy XIV's community, they kind of want people to succeed because they want people to enjoy the game the way that they do. Because Final Fantasy XIV's kind of gotten a bad rep over the years, and it's like you wouldn't know it if you like follow the game today, because everybody is calling 14 the WoW killer, and that's a title if I've ever heard one. But we want you to play the game, and we want you to see why we think it's amazing. And we understand that you have to go through your fair share of strife in order to get to that point. And we're mostly talking about A Realm Reborn when we say this. Like, I want people to experience Heavensward. That's my favorite part of the game. And then I want people to experience Shadowbringers, because it's the best Final Fantasy story ever. It surpasses 6, and it even surpasses 9. Shadowbringers is lit. And if nothing else, like if people walk away from 14, like they play through one expansion and never touch it again, I want them to play Shadowbringers and experience that for themselves. They deserve something that incredible. Oh, hey, Chocobos.
This guy. Alright, well, there you have it. I know Tehran did a lot of talking. I was mainly taking notes, so I do apologize. But every Thursday around the same time, 7:30 Central time. I don't even know our own time zone.
Central.
There we go.
Apparently.
7:30 Central time. You can catch podcasts. We'll see if I'm pretty sure we still have a lot to talk about for Final Fantasy, so we might even, I don't know, we might do another one about Final Fantasy and go from there. I might have already started. I don't think so though, but that's not rest assured. Yeah, if you have any other questions, put it in the comment section down below, and then maybe we can add it to the next podcast and go from there. Tehran, set us free.
Oh, definitely. I'll be keeping like an eye out for those comments and questions, just so I have something to like answer for the next one. But let's see. Thank you one and all for joining us for this edition of the Technical Record Podcast. I have been your host, Tehran145.
With RGB945.
If you enjoyed this content, we'd very much appreciate it if you dropped a low kick onto that like button. And if you especially like that content, we would be quite chuffed if you dropped a thunderbolt onto that subscribe button.
Hey.
Until next time, fare thee well.
Yep.
I was nervous.
Hold on.
And no, we're not.